played so well on that map, especially versus Rocks, and that team is an experienced team, and they're playing versus another experienced team. Let's be Team Spirit.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to seeing what is going to take place. Going to be an interesting one to see, how dust2 also plays out as well. A very,
Yep.
arguably a bit of a playground for the AWPs, the longer range battles as well. I'm pretty intrigued to see also, what the rifles can do, because dust2 is also a bit of a sporadic map when it comes down to the setups.
It is, but I think something to pick out as well is the fact that, well, not the fact that, but the way that VwS play, especially on their T side, they don't play the tactical style which you would expect to see on an overpass or a train. Instead, they seem to play so fast on their T side, constantly going for the early picks, and they might be favoring towards overpass as their map, but the thing is, the way they play overpass, they play it more like a dust2 in the terms of the early aggression and the early picks going in their favor, especially from the rifles, and that might transition into dust2. So maybe this map might even be that bad for them.
Yeah, we can certainly hope, of course, we're all ears for another competitive matchup. That's what we're looking to see, right? Especially when we are in, we have to remember the playoff stages, and this is incredibly important, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Especially if you are Team Spirit right now, Dav Cost, and previously playing for Flipside as well, watching his fellow brethren go and qualify for the, the legend spot for the ELEAGUE major. He wants to be there with his friends. So this might not obviously meaning a lot for him, playing with some experienced players, but they are quite a fresh lineup. Going against them, that will be VwS, very, very new to the LAN scene and the top tier scene. These players, obviously very young, very unexperienced, so they're coming here not really looking for the major qualifier spot, but to more get some experience under the belt, and any wins they do get will just help them out.
It's all about claiming that early win as well. Of course, in a BO3, if you get that first map, you do have a big advantage when it comes down to going to the second, because as much as you are still going to be playing to close things out, you have a little bit more breathing room.
Yeah, you do. That first map is definitely a bit of comfort. But at the same time, this is a best of 3, so even if you get one map, you still have to get the second one. And initially, what are your expectations for this? What scores and what result?
Ooh, that's a big one. I am leaning towards, part of me Spirit, just because I've seen them play. I've watched them do some pretty incredible stuff in the past in terms of results. They've got talented players. However, now and there is a very, very big and clear however. VwS, they may not necessarily have a bunch of players that you go, okay, yeah, we know these guys, we know each and every single one of them. But what they do have is they have people like Kalinka who I would go back to saying almost not necessarily wildcard, but unpredictable. They can pop off, they can be explosive, and that's why I'm going to lean to say probably 16-10, 16-11 for the first map.
What about the result though in the overall best of 3?
I think it depends on how this first map goes, right? Because I look at this and go, if we see Spirit take this first map, then going in towards Overpass, we could see them put up a bit of a fight, but then you have to remember Overpass is VwS's map pick. So
they've played it so well so far, yeah.
Yeah, and they have been incredible on Overpass. So, from a pure statistical point of view, and removing all, I guess opinions out of things, we should realistically be looking at a 1-1 affair and then going into Mirage for the decider. Though, again, Spirit, if they can get momentum on dust2, I would argue that Overpass could be a much closer affair.
Long story short, 2-1 is your prediction, and same goes for me. I do expect VwS to take Overpass and then lose these following 2 maps, but should be close. Pau now actually finds the first frag onto Coldie. Pushing again, no smoke here, so it means it's so good for these long-range weapons. As the smoke does fall, but it's too late.
Yeah, it's all just going to be a little bit late for the action, it seems. There's going to be a couple of shots to be popping off, but left, right, and centre, it's all going in one direction currently as the bomb is going to be ticking on away, but the CT side there, quick on the hills to rotate on, and Kvik will find himself a snapping headshot, but even then, how much is it going to last as Kvik just doing so much work, and it's going to lead to a quick defuse. Follow up to VwS, they get themselves the pistol round.
Taurus right now, so happy. I mentioned before momentum in the previous match, and we saw Tengri, they played calm and chilled even though they won rounds, but VwS, the younger side, they play with a lot more passion. This game means so much to them. Already the first pistol going in their favor. The smoke does not come out. Instead, you had Pound, that was it, wide facing towards long. He did get the first frag and then fell back smartly. Didn't reface and die. That's what you want to see. The early pick, the early aggression, and then just falling back and then playing the retake with the man advantage. And they played it well, and they take the first round. So, the bomb, obviously not going down, means the force buy will come out for Team Spirit. They are playing quite slow though. This is quite strange when you have the pistols. They're going to be facing towards mid. They'll be opting versus rifle.
Looking to see what this rifle can do. Is it going to be able to find that initial pick and do some damage? Of course, they do have the pistols, which Tech9s, we all know what sort of show a Tech9 can do, but it does have to get close to do it.
Look at the utility as well, and the AK. So if they want to, they can play contact with the rifle, have Dima peek out towards A and try and find the first pick if he's feeling confident, or they can simply just smoke off, flash over, and play an execute style, and I believe that's what they're going to be doing. The first initial smoke comes, and the following ones come soon.
Push is going to begin. Kvik got a lot of work to do. Needs to hold off this cross, but the constant flashes are just berating him so hard because he doesn't quite know where to look exactly. Still ever so blind, continually over and over again. Great work coming out from Spirit in terms of these flashbangs, and eventually it leads to his death. As now it's going to be a bit of a CT reversal push to roll on in. And a bit of a bloodbath over towards mid, but it's in quick succession going to lead towards the Spirit side. And I have to commend them on their utility. Those flashes, they were perfect. Completely nullified so many spots on towards long, zoned out CT. It's a great start.
Great execute there. Got to question the positioning there from that player that was playing towards Car. You haven't got the AWP, but they still held the long angle. That's fair enough versus the pistols, but they probably didn't expect the execute came out. And maybe if you're expecting more of an execute-based start from the T side, you could have been playing ramp and playing a bit closer to the A site and not give it up so easily. But Tony here, or Cold even, finds the first 2 frags was long. But the question is, can they carry it through? 2-man lead already from long, and they'll get that map control. And now Davkos peeking towards mid will dodge the scout shot from Pound. He shall survive.
He's still going to be going for those one-taps though, trying to embrace his inner screen per se, but not really going to lead to anything just yet. The big kind of thing to keep an eye on is going to be over towards his A site, especially when you add into the mix that Suffolk has already taken down Pound. And bit by bit, we find ourselves looking at a much more competitive scenario yet again. These rifles moving these pistols out of the way, and there's not really too much they can do here, to be honest. These Deagles are going to be going for some headshots here and there, but that's about it.
Such a shame as well for them to lose that first round. That they got the pistol, but they lose the force buy, and they couldn't quite get the force buy going in their favor as well. That will hurt the momentum leading into this following one as well, as they will have to go for the full eco, allow Team Spirit to hit 3 rounds, and then again, it's not the end of the world because typically, you are thinking in the meta right now, it's more of a T-sided map, usually 8-7, still very close, very, very 50-50, but generally 8 or so rounds for the T side, and that's usually because of the CT economy. If you can take control of the CT economy, it matters so much when the executes come out. Imagine in that previous round of the force buy, if the CTs had Molotovs for short, would have completely changed the outcome of the round.
For sure. At least for now, it's just going to be the same old crossfire setup being played in the present from these Deagles. Getting away, I mean, arguably, the Kevlar is probably one of the most important things they can get away with, especially that helmet on leak. But back to the future. For VwS, how much can they do here? Because, of course, that momentum breaker does tie into things, but at the same time, it's not like we're seeing a huge, 5-1 disparity. The rounds, it's fairly close. There's only 1 or so in it.
Yeah, that is true, but the problem is their money is in tatters, so they will be on the full eco, and leading into the next round, they did force, which means they won't potentially have the AWP. I'm not too sure, can't see their money. But not having an AWP on the CT side of dust2 is so important because it means that you won't have that presence towards car, not allowing those T's to push up towards short. And Davkos here tries to get the first. Yes, he will. Not really much firepower come back to him, obviously. No armor there, so the easy one-tap comes up for him. Taurus does full, but was quite expected.
Yeah, if we look at this one on paper, we should just be looking at easy pickings, right? Fairly simple stuff, as it is going to be soft to peek out towards long. A nice and easy shot on towards Glinker, and bit by bit we inch ourselves closer to that 3-1 scenario where VwS then will have to go into things guns blazing and trying to claw back what they originally had at the end of the day when you look at the way they got the pistol and the unfortunate knockback that was the second.
The thing as well is the mental fortitude going into this map as well. This is not their map pick, this is Team Spirit's map pick, so if the rounds keep going in favor of Team Spirit and it gets to that 8-1, not even 8-1, just 7-1, VwS they're not going to start to give up and think, you know what guys, this isn't our map pick, we can give them this one and we can think about the next map. That does play into a factor when you do play these best of threes. So only really teams like Virtus.pro where they'll literally fight you to the very, very end on every single map you play. I don't think we'll be seeing the same mental fortitude coming out for VwS.
It certainly is going to be a bit of a big ask. Of course, the bomb has found its way down, and I don't think there's too much to really read into in this situation, to be honest. You've got Pound, it's a given. He's over towards the B site, going to be kind of twiddling his thumbs with this Deagle, and unlike last time where they had some Kevlar, this time it is just a Deagle, and the next round is going to happen either way. I don't think that's going to play too much into it. So it comes down to, what are they going to do as a CT side? Are we expecting aggression? Of course, you already talked about the AWP, and we mentioned it right from the get-go about how much it was a playground. But as a setup on a whole,
if there's no AWP, could potentially see a triple push towards long, take control of long, have that rifle sit nice and steady in long pit, and then have 2 players playing towards A. Maybe have someone hide in Goose, and then have one towards Ramp, something like that. Just a bait setup potentially, because without the AWP, you can't really play for the picks, and their money isn't too strong. So could see 3 towards long. Maybe even a double short push, but we saw there before dust2 playing quite passive, waiting for that push. Could see an upper tunnel push, but without the AWP, you generally have to play aggressive. And you look at the utility as well, no Molotov, so the retake could be difficult.
It certainly could be, but we'll talk about those AWPs. It goes for the initial pick straight down through mid, not quite going to land the shot, but it's going to get the information on what has crossed, which does give a lot up for this T side to try and work with. Of course, in terms of the setup from VwS, you've already pretty much shed the light on it. It's those 5 rifles. I'm going to be intrigued to see how they approach long, because they could get this boost up on towards blue, which is going to be good enough, but then does he want to push on over and drop down and then hold close towards door? Or is he just going to play the elevated angle?
Well, they do get their CT player situated in short. Sorry, not short, sorry, long. And then that drags the other player going towards the A site ramp. The problem is, though, there's one player on short, and he is on his own, and there's not really too much help from here, so if he does go 1 for 1, it's not really the best for the CT side. They need multiple frags if they want to hold off this T attack, and the bomb towards been this player's short. He's just going to play for information, try and find that frag.
It's looking like it's going to be a bit of a slow burner when it comes down to things, so as much as they want that frag, it's all about biding their time, going at the most opportunistic time, as it looks like Soft's going to be going to shoulder peek the angle, still looking for some more information. Of course, Spirit, not exactly overcommitting by a long shot, so, you know, smart and concise from them, but VwS should give them a hint.
Yeah, Kivik there was towards short, and then as soon as his players got into long pit, he fell off short. Smart play there. And actually, the CT aggression from the T player. He will jump into CT, like ring around the roses. They go between the smokes, and actually, it will be DMO that wins that duel. Kivik goes down. Looking on the side now, trying to find some frags. Gets 2, but the refrags and the trades happen for the T side, and 3 players alive. It's just Pound now in the 1 versus 3 with no kit, just a flashbang. But DMO is low, so if you get the first frag and make this 1 versus 2, it's potentially his round.
That first pick is what counts, especially when you have to throw into the mix that getting that first frag on towards DMO, well, it's going to be incredibly unlikely, as he's over towards mid, nowhere really nearby, so he's looking for pretty much Tony here. If he can get that long shot, then he can try and peek in with a more close range angle, but the double peek is going to be so tough, and he goes towards car instead of checking that close left, and will get punished.
He does fall, and that will mean into this round, the money shall be low once again, and oh, he's not happy, is he? I believe that's Kivik as well, the AWPer. Obviously, not having the AWP, they had to get aggressive somewhere with the rifle. When they had the 2 players go towards long, that meant they had a weak short, and if because they went for the boost as well, those 2 players were so long, they took so long at that long position, that if a push came short from the Ts, it would have caught them off guard. They would have been pushing up short when those players were on long, so instead they got aggressive on short to try to counteract that, which was smart, and as soon as they had control of long, Kivik fell off there, went towards CT, but unfortunately for him, the ring around the roses does lose that. And the first buy round goes in favor of Team Spirit.
That is going to be the perfect timing for them, just looking to pretty much use that to excel and almost leapfrog their way into this, right? Because if they start strong on their T side, it gives them a a huge situational advantage just to keep on building into that. Of course, dust2 doesn't really matter whether you are on that T or CT side. It comes down to pretty much preference and specifics within the team. As it is going to be these pistols just trying to tap on away, rekindle any spark they can try and scrap together. But even then, damage looking unlikely. In an ideal world, of course, you can kind of pray to the optimist that they can find a frag onto a staff course, dropping the AWP, but again, then you have to look to the T side and say it'd just be simple for them to pick it up, right?
Yeah, that's the problem though. This round will fall in their favor, and Team Spirit will be leading 5-1 going into this next round. The money on the CT side, I mean, they should have the AWP. They have lost multiple rounds in a row, but I can't quite see the money yet. Hopefully, if they do have the money for an AWP, they might even boost them short, try and get the early frag towards mid, have him peek long, try and take control of long with it, or even have them push, maybe have him push towards B and get some map presence that way. Double AWP set up. So, potentially 1 AWP back boxes B plat, just holding on to that angle there, or just 1 AWP towards B and then 1 AWP towards A, maybe 1 AWP towards A and then 1 AWP towards mid as well. We might see 3 players go towards long and then have one of the AWPs play that mid area, watching that short push, and actually goes for the mid face, but dust2 will whiff the shot.
Within the shot, not the ideal way to start off the round, but nonetheless, not really going to be complaining too much just yet. It's going to be how they approach this second facing, or the second coming per se, that we really look towards us now. It looks like DMO is going to be going relatively aggressive. The angle is going to be held ever so close by Kalinka. Well, Dima having some second thoughts about pushing. He should know there's a play there. He's actually going to go try and go for the pre-fire through the door.
Flash. Does still, for some reason, lose that duel though. Kalinka does fall to DM up, and Dima finds the first. Another mid player is down. The CT defense is split 2 apiece, and this means that they can either group and go B, and they know they will be playing versus 2 people there. Try and trade those frags, or they can try and take the 1 versus 1 duels towards A.
Quick, gonna find himself that AWP shot on towards soft though, so great stuff coming out from him and living up to the name somewhat. As he went out, look to drop down, readjust his spot. As he's just gonna be looking towards Luxury as well with that secondary AWP, and Taurus pushing straight through the smoke. He's so blind, he doesn't know where he's shooting at, but he's doing so much damage. Whips out the USB, finds the headshot, eventually gonna get flamed on down. But a lot of damage to be done and makes this one possible, but then Tony, well, he whips out the nail gun and practically crushes their dreams there and then as it comes back down to Pound, a 1v3. We've looked at tunnels in the past, we've looked at these clutches. Well, there are AWPs staring dead set at him. He's got no chance.
It's not just the damage there, it's also the fact it was the trades. You saw the trades come up from Team Spirit there. Maybe the experience putting themselves through here on their T side, playing nice and close together, so even though 1 falls, they do revenge that frag instantly, and it nets them that B bomb site, and the retake obviously not going in favor of VwS, and you can see the difference we have. But on their CT side, on dust2, they just fall apart compared to what we saw on Overpass.
Yeah, not a pretty image at all. They need to start to make something work, as the one concern here is that spiraling effect. If they let this one keep on, let it keep on toppling over, is what we're kind of aiming for. They're going to find themselves, just struggling so much to get back into it.
Yeah, we will. So once again, losing the rifle round, they will be on the reset. Money is low, so there will be only armor of 4 players. And Deagle and Kvik, he's obviously saving for the AWP, and they need to try and find a first pick, because it feels like we saw in their mid doors there, DM finding that frag. It feels like the first frag always goes in favor of Team Spirit. But then again, it's hard for VwS to try and counter that, because the aggression comes in from the T's, but it's always calculated with flashes. And even though the flash failed, there was still a flash, and now the double push swap towards B tunnel will be countered by Coldie. Finds both of those frags. Another frag as well from Tony Black will take that kill as the player tries to push long, and 7-1 potentially.
Yeah, it just leads us to a pretty dangerous spot, unfortunately, for that CT side. Pound really kind of the man to keep your arms, to be honest, because he's got the firepower in this situation. With Deagle from Quick, not really going to add too much unless he can find himself a 1D get that, and that seems pretty hopeful. But Pound with the M4 does his job, at least finds the opening pick. Now looking for Coldie on towards his B side.
Does spray him down. Coldie will fall, but the problem is his teammate Tony Black will take him down. Kvik falls. Pound in the 1 versus 3, 50 seconds on the clock now, so if he goes for this, the chance is so slim, especially without the kit, and he's not even full HP, only 67 for him, and a smoke grenade, no flash, so if he did opt to peek, he will be peeking into non-flashed and prime players who will obviously have the cover of their backs, cover of their teammates' backs, and so forth, so walking to crossfires, no flash, no kit, will instead opt to go for the save, and fair play to him, I'll do the same.
Yeah, I think that's the safe decision at this point, isn't it? It's kind of all about net gain instead of instant win, because as much as he may do some damage on towards Dima, for example, or just claim a frag in general, it's much better and more affordable for him just to take that into the next round, especially when you have to add in the utility. He's got a Molotov and a smoke. Yeah,
no utility as well. It's the kit most importantly as well, because when there's so many players to find, so many angles to peek out, you need those extra 5 seconds to help yourself out. But without that, he will opt for the save, and at this point, you've got to think, at what point do they mentally give up, thinking, this is our map, boys. Ride it out. Just focus on overpass. Get your aim warm. Try and get, feel of your mouse. Try and think about the next map and how we can read what they're doing here and see if we can bring that over to the overpass map.
As much as I can see the correlation between the two, I do think that there's still a little bit of life in them there going into this map. So I'm still, all eyes towards the CT side to see, what sort of improvement they can make. But then when they bring out a triple up setup, well, I might as well just have said nothing at all. As now, this is very much a one-hit wonder. Are they going to make it work?
Blinded off the angle once again. I mentioned when these players get aggressive, they have the backup from the teammates. It might not be their teammates themselves, but it's the flashes and the utility that they bring in. Kvik flashed off the angle, unable to get that first frag, and at this point, with 3 AWPs, if you don't find a frag very, very soon, it's going to look pretty bleak, because if you have to retake B, even A, it's going to be so hard with the AWPs as close range duels.
It's going to be a slow build-up of manpower over towards mid-doors. Looking like they are just going to try and hard face things. His teammate is going to go for the peak, but Kalinka playing ever so slow, ever so passive, just going to try and hold the angle, and he now knows, given that it's not quite going to be a mid push, and backed up by the fact that Quick had to go for that shot with the AWP, should pretty much raise all the suspicions to the CT side that A split towards short, it is going to be coming, and it's coming hard and fast. They need to hold this one off. The Molotovs and smokes, they are going to begin to form. They burn on away.
He's solo.
Nothing's being shot.
He's got the players that are in CT. He's going to be wrapped around. If that's your teammate, don't shoot. Oh my goodness, Kalinka does find a frag, but it's 2 for the T's, 2 for the CTs as well, because Kalinka gets one, but will be instantly traded up by DMR. Bomb is planted for short, but there are no T players short, so they could take down Tony, but the problem is Tony stays alive. That's a smart play there. If he had died, the CTs could have taken short, and the bomb was planted for the CTs in that situation, so the T's would have to overface, and unfortunately for them, they will fall. Taurus dies. Soft will take that frag, and you saw what happened there. Kvik is all by himself. There's no support there. Gets players from every single angle, and then scopes up one, but with the AWP you can't watch 3 angles at once and does fall. And that opens up the site, and you saw what happened following. Kalinka trying to do what he can, but he does eventually get traded out, and the numbers advantage was still in favor of Team Spirit.
Leave Spirit, just that opportunity to keep on knocking past VwS and saying, where is your hope now? Where is your ability to play together as a team? Because I do think that's justified at this point. That CT side hold on the site, even removing that solo ability away from it, it was messy. There was no peaks. It just kind of, they stood around. They waited, and they got crushed for it.
They did, so not really too sure what's going on there. Maybe a miscommunication. Maybe he thought that his teammate Long had his back. But that's quite a strange smoke that came out for the T's. Good smoke for sure. Obviously, expecting that player Long. That would have been helping out Kvik there. That was on a ramp, and instead he does fall. 8-1 now, another buy, but there's no AWP, so we should be seeing some aggression eventually. I think it's Kalinka on short. That is that aggression I speak of. You can get the first frag here and then fall back, and they can try and win the retake. Just get the first kill and then give up A, or give up something and try to retake it, but DMR once again gets the first frag in mid. Can it get traded though? Kalinka needs to find this frag. If he loses it to DMR, it's going to be pretty dire. It's already a 2-man lead.
You're not reining in the positivities at this point, are you, Nuts? As you seem to be predicting the future, just looking into that crystal ball, but it's one that is filled with a whole lot of red as the blood splatters are across the place. Stavkast next in line to step up as he takes down Quick. And Pound and Taurus, well, what have they got left to do? A 2v5, and they're still on a default.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the CTs had to get aggressive, but that was some very, very strange aggression. You saw no flashes. Instead, easy pickings there for DMR. Pound does find one, so it's still the 2-man lead for Team Spirit. But the problem is, with 45 seconds on the clock, they can still rotate towards B. It's going to be the 1 versus 4 right now. Taurus, this is where he needs to hold the line. Can he get the first frag and then fall back and try and reposition? Does get the first. Does still face, though. Easy, easy trade frag. If you just fall him back a little bit there, allow them to run into his crosshair. Instead, he holds, and Davkos re-peaks and takes him down. Pound once again in the 1 versus 3.
Such a difficult prospect for him at this point. He knows that his best option is to run for the hills, and I'm all in agreement for them at this point. I think that aggression from the CT side, I do think there is one side of it says, okay, they try to go aggressive. It's good that they're trying, but when you ask for aggression, there is that unheard of, unspoken point, which is always a given, which is calculated aggression. You're wanting flashes. You're not just wanting people to zerg on out, which that was the problem right there. There was a very clear differentiation between them going aggressive without really too much emphasis on the team play, just pushing an angle, hoping for the best, in comparison to what we really wanted to see, which was flashes, Molotovs, well-used utility, team play overall that gives them the ability to not only go aggressive, but do it in a smart way that nets them a natural ability to get frags. Like Kalinka losing that frag towards short, it's just too much.
Yeah. A comparison I'm going to make is between Tengri and obviously VwS. So, Tengri, they didn't have the flashes when they went for the solo pushes. The difference is they had Ramzik and Fitch, and those players, such strong individually skilled players there. And you saw what happened. They just peeked out, got instant headshots or instant AWP flicks. The problem is, VwS right now, their players aren't quite that warm. And when they go for these, I mean, what is that? What is that? Just such weird plays, uncharacteristic plays and uncharacteristic pushes. Will mean that right now it's 9-1, and with 1 minute 30 on the clock, those replays came in, and already 3 players are dead.
Yeah, production, they're trying to show you some of the last round, but what they're missing out on is the current, it seems, as VwS.
Yes.
10-15 seconds or so, they're practically all dead. Like, this is... You use the phrase dire, I think that's almost an understatement at this point. They need to try and come back from something. They need some rounds. We're in our 11th as is. This is set to be a 10-1 scoreline. I want to see 4 at least, right? At least.
This point, yeah. 4, I mean, that's a bit optimistic because VwS, it sort of looks like they've given up at this point, just wildly pushing, and maybe they're trying to get the aim warm, maybe they're not trying to give away anything, I'm not really too sure, but Pound on the A site, he's still giving it. What can he do now? Jumps up, spots 3 players, another rotation from B, he's still staying B, this is so strange. Molotov comes out, it's going to burn him alive very soon, but the flash comes out. For once, we've seen some calculated aggression. Flash comes out, sprays on the second player. Can he get the tap on the third? Trying to get the headshot, but doesn't quite connect it. And unfortunately for him, I'd say Tony Blair there, Jesus Christ. Tony Black will actually get that trade frag. I'm too English.
It's going to be trying to enforce his political ideas, but it doesn't need to.
Yeah, the Trump card there, it does unfortunately get traded out.
Touche. I think, you know, what I want to get onto, which I think is a really nice opening point for this, is that the one time they actually use their flashes and go for an aggressive peek, it works. And they do so much with it. One man does so much. And alright, it's incredible. You'd never imagine it.
Stomping like Nelly, just running up, running straight through those tunnels, and it's a strange cosplay. I'm not sure that's Counter-Strike, but anyway. Going into this round, their money is still pretty naffed. Only going to be seeing pistols and armor and a rifle, so I don't think they're going to be forced into this one. Maybe going to try and play for 12-3 and try and do what Spirit did to them on their T side.
Well, we can certainly hope at this point, and at least try and, you know, have some sort of resemblance to hope. For now, it is just that, a good old day of remembrance when VwS can step up to the plate and hopefully find themselves some frags. But in the current context, in the now, well, it's going to be uncomfortable. They burn away in the flames. Kalinka first in line, and VwS pretty much getting themselves ready to sit into a bit of a group grave. That's quick. He's up towards short, but that's going to be about it.
Yeah, 2 of those players falls, and Davkos as well, the third. VwS Gaming, they're not really opting in to go for this round. Obviously, the half-buy comes out. There's a bit of optimism there with the armor, but the problem is the only player, the rifle, is the one that's last alive in a 1 versus 5, and he will reface. Let's see what we can do here. Let's get one. Let's see how good his aim is. See if he's got that warmed up just yet for the next overpass map. As right now, VwS not really showing too much here. Can he get the frag? Ooh. Onto the A site now. Here's the players all around him. Not really too much connected there. In the back, Davkos will come. Trying to go for the knife round. The nice frag, and power will fall. So, as I mentioned there before, isn't too much hope here. I'm more looking into how their aim is. Will that aim and that play transition into overpass? Because right now, tactically, mentally, they are broken.
Well, the common opinion seems to be, look at overpass, right? That's what seems to be tracking a lot of people's thought process and go, okay, yeah, this one will be why, you know, VwS, they step up in the second map. But I mean, you have to think of momentum, right? Team Spirit, they're feeling so strong right now. If they get, you know, the pistol in the first couple on overpass, what's going to hold them back then?
Yep. Momentum can definitely carry through if that does end up happening, but so far so good for Team Spirit. So far so very good for Team Spirit. 10-round lead. Problem is right now for VwS is actually for once they do have the first frag here. For once the aggression works out and they do find the frag. How can they play the 4 versus 5?
They find themselves another to add to the tally. It catches you off guard because you just don't quite expect it. It's been so long. Davkos will find at least one trade, but it's only half the puzzle. He's looking for just one more. And flash peek is going to be coming on out, but Davkos just ends Taurus. A quick flick to his left, and Taurus's head is completely annihilated. Flash is going to be popping up.
That is definitely a whiff if I've ever seen one. My goodness. Does flash himself. Doesn't quite help himself out though with that spray. Actually, it's a nice flick there from Pound. Finds the head and rips it clean off of Davkos. So we could be seeing the 11-2 here with 45 seconds on the clock. If this frag goes in favor of Soft though, that will change everything. The frag comes in through the door. The headshot comes through. But they are playing split, so there's going to be another 1v1. But actually, smart play here. He will fall back. He's going to regroup and rekindle with Coldy. He can do that, and they can play the trade game. This could be a 1 versus 1.
This could be possible, but at the same time, it does ride quite a lot on time. 20 seconds is the number to be called. They have to begin to group on up. We're going to be looking towards window. It drops down right at the
spotted
time. Looks for that second peek, but he flicks to the right timing, completely wrecking him at this point. Finds the first pick, but there is that 1v1 you talked about. You set it out in stone. 6 seconds.
Oh my goodness, is he expecting the fake? No, he's not. He will be sprayed down by Pound there. Well played by him, and well played especially by Lucky there as he refaces and takes down the player with the bomb. That is so important that player was the player that he killed, because did kill the player that was closest to him. The bomb could have gone down a bit faster, and that could have been a very different round. That kill though, that just has to happen. There's a frag you can't miss.
it's just, you know, one of those things you just look at and go, just how? Just, you know, how does that happen? Either way, Long is going to be the quick target. And Team Spirit, they are out for vengeance. They are hungry. They want to drop them dead as they are trying to punish the CT side. But it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath again. 3 frags to be claimed by VwS. 2 for the side of Team Spirit. But 2 HP as well. The number on Dima correlating rather nicely. Davkost has got his work cut out for him, but he's sneaking out towards short with AWP, and no one is checking. Then no one is holding it. Now he's dropping down straight in towards CT. Not quite sure if he's been able to spot out Taurus or not. But information, nonetheless, they're trying to be played for. And he may be 2 HP, but now he can cross up to the site. Nice and comfortably.
He's playing this, though, how he should be. His teammate is such low HP, so he needs to be the one to find the frags, but unfortunately for him... Oh my god, he dropped his nade!
What happened there was Davkost tries to throw a nade into CT, but the peek comes out from CT right through the smoke with the rifle towards that last second. And that means that just as the nade is about to leave his fingertips, it gets fragged down, which puts it on the floor. And his teammate tries to go for the repeek.
Yeah.
That's happened.
That's
happened.
That happened before. That is definitely very rare. I mean, unlucky there for Team Spirit, but then again, luckily for them, they're already sitting on 11. They can buy the AWPs and try and get the tags through mid doors and throw them away. But they won't let themselves any damage. So not really too much coming out from that. And actually, that will slow down their default. So map control could go actually in favor of the CTs.
Sons, I've got to ask you a quick question. Does that count as a Kobe?
Not really, no, because killing a teammate. No, that's not a Kobe.
I'm glad we've classified
the thing
that.
is, I don't watch basketball, so I can't really think of another thing to come up with that. To be honest with you, can't really.
I feel like we had to.
Basketball.
I feel like we had to specify it just as a public service, you know. As either way, one thing now we need to kind of look towards, back again to that service, is the mid push. It's beginning to take some shape. Davkost just going to be holding the angle, being very, very patient about this as he creeps on out bit by bit. But a lot of noise to be made, which means Pounds, he knows exactly what's going on.
Oh my goodness, another frag from Davkost where player is spraying him, and while being sprayed, he holds his nerve and finds that kill onto Pound. And so far for VwS, Pound has been the player with the highest IRWS because in the rounds that they win, he seems to get the most impactful frags.
It's yet again a bit of a weird one, but we're looking to see what can be done over towards short as a Molotov will go down. A bit preemptive from VwS, but it's going to work out in their favour as Team Spirit very bunched up. But they're finding the picks. Look at the position in that smoke, though. That could be perfect, providing work can be done. Right now, it is going to be a bit of a dwindling, and quick. Nothing will go in his favour. Taurus falls back almost, you know, waterfall style of fashion in towards CT, and it's a 2v5 attempted retake at that, if they choose to even go for it. They have no kit.
No bomb graphic though, unfortunately, so I couldn't tell you what the bomb is at right now, but the spray... Oh, Taurus, mate, you are not happy. Look at him, hands in the air. He's not happy with that frag going in the favour of Coldy. And look, he's just thinking to himself, what the hell am I supposed to do?
I can agree with that thought process, to be honest. You know, what can he do? Can you? I don't think there's a single line that can be drawn and say, you know what, he could do this, because even if he wants to go for back-to-back one-taps, it's the dream is not alive. At least we know our final scoreline, 12-3. You said it was going to be 12-3 right from the get-go. You said, you know what, that's what they're gonna play for after we saw that sheer string of domination. But nonetheless, the prediction may have been right, but that's still pretty damn bleak.
2 frags for Taurus then. I believe he was the player that he was the player that whiffed Davkost in that most crucial round. I mean, imagine if it was 10-5. 10-5, win pistol on your T side, take control of the CT economy. That's definitely winnable. But unfortunately for him, they will flop. So 15-8 and 14-8 for those frags. Actually, Powell's playing a good game, and in the rounds they win, it seems like he is the one that pulls through. The problem is, though, we've only got 3 of those rounds.
Yeah, certainly a bit of an awkward predicament at this point, as we find ourselves waiting to see how things are going to go, and that's actually a pretty nice AWP statistic, because we talk a lot about AWP battles and how much of a playground this was. 8-2.
8-2-2. Unfortunately, though, for VwS, that isn't the scoreline. Instead, it's 12-3. So they need this pistol, and already it's going in favour of Team Spirit. Coldy and Tony Black, they find the early frag. Can Kevik, though, get the reply?
This is so crisp, but not only that, it's so demotivating because they're just pushing through mid. They're not asked anymore. They just want to keep on going, and they are just going to be one-tapping them across the board. VwS not even doing 100 HP worth of damage combined across all 5 of them. As Luke, he's stuck in a 1v5 before. We said it was impossible then. Well, now it's going to be a bit more of a difficult task. They are pushing him one by one, which certainly does open things up. But a line has been drawn in the sand, and it's going to be created by a USB one-tap.
Yeah, it has been. But unfortunately for them, dust2, sand comes into play, but not really too much they can do as this round. This game is almost concreted in right now because 13-3, the pistol as well, going in favor of Team Spirit. My goodness, there isn't really too much they can do here. They are saving, so potentially they are going to go by into the next round. From 14-3, try and see, you know, get your comms warm. I mean, that sounds a bit crazy, getting your comms warm, but getting the communication flow going, getting your aim warm, feeling your mouse with those rifles in your hand, because they could force by this round and lose it and force by the next one, but you don't really gain anything. Moving into overpass, they want their game and their chemistry and their teamwork to feel fluid. Potentially, or just get some confidence rounds, or they can just lose every single one. And
what it comes down to is no matter what, it's about getting, you know, that realization that this is a series, not just a BO1. So by all means, not over just yet. And if they can get that thought in their heads, you can see that as well.
You can see that as well. Like, if this was a best of one, we would have seen so much more fight and firepower, maybe even a pause. Instead, they just let themselves get run over, and in their heads they're thinking, you know what, lads, this isn't our map pick. We're thinking about the next one. And Coldy, another 2k for him, following that pistol round, and Tony Black as well, trying to spread on that player. Yes, he will. 14-3, the buy comes out now for VwS, and potentially, I'm thinking maybe a long take. Go from there, try and suss out the CT setup. Maybe go for the long take, try and go fast up A, because when you play slow, it's just not working. Oh, that scout though, so I'm not really too sure what the hell's going to be going on this round. Maybe the long take, maybe just a passive setup with the scout and try use that and try get some tags and play off the tags.
Right now it's just staring down mid. It's hungry for something, but I'm not quite sure what exactly it is just yet, as it looks like we are going to see some aggression coming in over towards short, but Davkos is going to peek on out, finds one for his troubles, is going to get shut down by Pound, so certainly making this one back to be in the realm of possibility, where they have to keep going. They can't choose to just idle around, as that gives Spirit so much opportunity to set up.
Yeah, it does. The thing is, though, VwS, do they have the strats, the same level of tacticianry that we saw from Team Spirit, and already a man down? I should take that back, the 4 versus 4. Smoking off CT here. Once the smoke comes in, how will they decide to use it? I think this is a one-way. I'm not too sure if I can remember. But anyway, nonetheless, it will be DMO that finds that frag onto Kalinka, so it's going to be the one-man disadvantage for VwS. They smoke CT, but that player walks straight through it.
It's got no problems, just pushing and going ever so aggressive, and at this point, VwS, they are just kindling to add to the fire, and one that is burning ever so strong for Team Spirit. They are pushing hard and fast to make this one work. 15-3 will be the scoreline. I'm not quite sure what else there is to say.
16-3 potentially is what you could say. That's what we are probably going to be saying, because right now, you can see on their faces as well, there's just no fire to them. They have no momentum in this game. They've been completely shut down and devastated. It's not even by one player as well. Yes, DMO got the entries on the T side, but it feels like every single player right now for Team Spirit was stepping up. But anyway, enough about that. Pound, the player of the match for the T side right now, finds a frag, but instantly traded out by 2 frags from Coldy.
That's fine one, then a 1-up it with a quick second, and then your teammate tries to step and go, no, you found 2, I can find 3. That seems to be the overall contesting method, as Taurus will at least try and bring the fight with a deagle. And not before Pound loses his life, leaving just an aforementioned player, 12 HP, a 1v3. He's up against 202 combined across the board of Spirit. He's got his work completely cut out for him.
Definitely has. Trying to find these players as they jump up, but unfortunately for him, 1 frag goes and not going to be another one. Tony Black is low HP, so he can find Tony. He's in the 1 versus 1. The problem is, though, he is 4 HP and he will flop and fall. And very, very swift first game to start it off. You're thinking in your head right now, if Team Spirit, they can win the pistol onto overpass. They can keep this momentum going.
Yeah, that was my kind of original thought process, and something I think I touched on right at the start when you asked me my thoughts on the series, was that you look at this lineup, we've seen them do it in the past, right? They've been able to get momentum going in series, they've been able to put up these 16-1s, and then they've either gone in, completely just started very, very strong with a pistol round and a follow-up, or we have seen as well, I think it was Cobblestone that I watched them, where they lost that pistol round but then fought back in the second, and from there, it was a constant string in a row where Inspiration was just everything they needed, and it was enough for them to just completely walk over off the back of how strong they did in the first map. So that's my fear right now. We're going to see how things will swing. But up until that point, any closing words, Nars, before we just head to a break before our second map will begin?
Unrelenting pressure there from Spirit, and they just kept it hammering on. And the question is, will this little break here, this 10-minute, 5-minute break, will it stop their momentum? And will VwS allow themselves to reset their brain and go to the next map overpass and bring the same form that we've seen them play on already?
Well, we are certainly going to find out, but in the meantime, we are going to head to a break. Of course, can throw in a bit of an apology to any production issues here and there, and rather acute timing that we are going to see a hell of a load of noise come through from the feed. Of course, we have got a live feed coming in from Russia, so things can be a little bit complex at times trying to communicate from the UK to Russia, but we're working with it, so stick with us, guys, and if there are any problems, of course, feel free to let us know, and we'll try and fix them as and when we can.